An administrative separation board is just that. It's administrative in nature. It's not criminal. And so there's no prosecutor, there's no judge, there's no evidence, there's no rule of evidence, there's no compulsory process. All of the rights and benefits and fundamental rights of due process that you're going to have at a court martial, you're not going to have an administrative board because it's administrative in nature. So you can't say, no, it's not like an Article 15 where I say, I'm going to turn down my NJP and go to court martial and demand a court martial. You cannot. You can either waive your right to a board and say, and I've seen this, some people are just saying, get me the hell out of the Marine Corps as fast as possible. I don't care if I get an OTH or not. I want to get out as fast as possible. And
Okay.
waive,
So what you're saying is you waive your right to the board. That's what I was trying to get. If you waive your right, then they just say, okay, then you're automatically go through. We're going to fast track you out. Is that
that's
what?
right. You're gone. And you're going to get out and say, well, great. I'm out of the Marine Corps. Great. I'm out of the Army. I don't have to serve anymore. I'm happy. But you're
Mm.
probably going to regret that decision because you're going to have an other than honorable discharge on your
Mm.
DD 214 or maybe a general under honorable conditions. Now, if you can get out with a general under honorable conditions, that may make sense. And you can do what's called a conditional waiver, which a lot of people don't know about, which means that I'll waive my board conditioned upon the command giving me a general under honorable conditions discharge. And that might make sense. But the majority of the time, if the command, in particular the Marine Corps, the Army is more willing, and the Air Force and the Navy, they're more willing to give conditional waivers to boards. Although I've seen it in the Marine Corps, but typically in the Marine Corps, if they say we want you out with an OTH, they don't care if they have to go through a board. They're going to go through a board because they believe it serves the order of good order and discipline.
Sure.
It's
Yep.
just it's a different organization. It's a different mindset and a different mantra. And again, if you've served in the Marine Corps, if you were a Marine, you've got a son or daughter who's a Marine, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just the Marine Corps is different for a lot of good reasons and some reasons that can be bad.
Yeah.
But you can waive the board. But I see people routinely waiving these boards for an OTH, and they regret it down the road because you are getting kicked out with the worst characterization of discharge possible. And if you had just gone to let's say you went to an administrative separation board and lost, you're still getting an OTH. So why waive your right to a board? Even if you go to a board and lose, you're not gaining anything. And what happens is people say they don't care about it. And then a year later, they go to apply to the VA because maybe their knees blown out. Maybe they have migraines or issues that happen in service. And you can still get a VA rating with an OTH, but it's significantly more challenging. And there's a lot of caveats, and it's going to make it exceptionally more difficult for you to get a VA rating. And a VA rating can be worth a lot of money. If you have a 100% rating, that's worth $4,000 a month tax free. And so you have to start thinking about that depending what your rating is. Then you maybe get a 30% rating, whatever that rating is that you properly deserve. Your ability to get that with an OTH is going to be limited. Your ability to get benefits, your ability to get employment may be greatly impacted with an other than honorable discharge. So when people come to me and say they were notified of a board and they have a right to a separation board, always take that board. Unless there's a way you can get a waiver and a general makes sense in your case, go to a board and have your hearing. And the worst case scenario is you're going to get an OTH. That's what you're going to get anyways. So there's not a lot of downside. It's not as if we're going to a trial and you lose, you're going to prison. You really lose nothing by going to a board. And so I almost always recommend someone goes to a board if they have the ability to.